Well, good morning, KUMB family, and thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Welcome Home with Monique show. I am your host, Monique Buchanan, and before we dive in, I want to take a moment to express my gratitude and give honor to Jesus Christ, who is my foundation of my business, okay? I've got another great show for you guys. Let's go ahead and jump into it. Today, we have two incredible guests, okay? They are with G6 Services. They are experts who can transform your credit landscape completely, and that's talking business and personal. Please give a warm welcome to Mr. Rob Bailey and Mr. Jenaro Roberts. Hi, Rob. Hi, Jenaro.
Hey, how are you?
Doing amazing. I'm so excited to have you guys on today. As you well know, credit is an important part of our everyday lives, but especially when it comes to home purchasing, purchasing businesses even, right? So I'm excited to have you guys come on and just kind of enlighten my listeners about, just how all of that works and just you guys enlighten them. Let's start with Jenaro. Is that okay, Rob?
No problem at all.
Okay, so Jenaro is focused on the personal credit. Is that right, Jenaro?
That is correct.
Okay, so if you want to just kind of jump in and just let them know exactly what you can do. I know that a lot of times my clients will come and say, Monique, I used a credit counselor, and they just strung me along. And, they took my payment for 2 years now. My credits went up 5 points. What would you say to that, Jenaro?
Well, I think a large part of the landscape of credit, it's hard. Credit repair is something different. What Rob and I do is not just repair the credit. It's more financial advisement, wealth management, things of that nature. So essentially, you shouldn't pay monthly, because if there's a service that's out there for monthly, the chances are great. The longer they keep you, the more money they make.
Absolutely.
So I don't ever subscribe to things like that. I think you should, if you're good and you know what you're doing, then it's just you do it one time and you get the person's credit clean. So each case is individual, because you're looking for 1,000,001 different types of violations that could potentially be on your credit report. So I don't agree with the
cookie cutter
monthly thing. Right. I think it's just disservice.
Right, and also cookie cutter. Not everybody fits into one box, and so that's what I love about.
It's impossible for you to. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's impossible for you to fit everybody to fit inside of one box. Simply for this reason: every data furnisher reports to every person's credit somewhat differently, and we have to look at each individual credit report, which is why the whole YouTube and TikTok and all of these people that come on social media and tell you, all you have to do is send this magic letter.
Right.
Well, people should understand that Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian are made up of people. The same people that have Equifax, they have TikTok, they have YouTube. So they see all of these things and they just prepare for it. So somebody goes on TikTok or on YouTube and says, hey, send this magic letter, the 609 letter.
Right.
And they get 10 million of those letters, and everybody gets the same thing in response. We know that this is not you sending it. It's an automated response.
Yes.
Your credit repair or restoration should be written specifically for you and your situation.
Right.
Whatever laws or FCRA, truth in lending laws that are violated within your credit report is the way it should be done. And that's time consuming, but that's the right way to do it so that it never comes back.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so, Rob, personal credit plays a major role in the business credit as well. Is that right?
Correct.
So there's 3 types of credit. There's 3 stages of credit. There's personal credit, then there's business credit, and there's corporate credit. So if you would liken it to a child, well, personal credit would be a baby, and then business credit would be a teenager, and corporate credit would be a full-fledged adult.
Oh, I like that. So you said personal credit is a baby, business credit is a teenager, and I like that. And the adult is the corporate credit. Is that right, Jenaro, Rob?
Correct.
I like that.
Yes, indeed. So in the beginning for business credit, you're going to need some support from the personal. And that's called a PG, which is a personal guarantor.
Okay.
So basically, the personal credit will support the business credit Once the business gets grown on its own, it can stand on its own. It doesn't need the personal credit at all. And that's called corporate credit. And that's always the end game, is to get to the corporate credit side where your business doesn't need any support from the personal credit.
Okay, so you guys have G6 services, and that's what you guys do, and that's what sets you aside. I mean, there's many things that set you aside. For one, you guys are educators. I love that about you. Here on my show, I like to educate my listeners about the real estate market, and you guys are educating everybody about, how credit works, but not only credit, like you said, building that baby up to an adult, which is corporate credit. There's so many people out there that we shy away, even as business owners, we shy away from getting funding and things like that through our business. Or look at me, like even getting a credit card, because I really want to understand how it all works. I don't want to get myself into something and then not understand how it works. So I think that there's many businesses that are dying in the graveyards because they have not met you and, Jenaro and Rob. You know what I mean? Because they don't know how to access those funds and get those businesses up and running. So I have a lot of business owners listening right now, and I know that they're interested and want to know more, especially because you guys are going to hold their hand and teach them. You're not just going to drop their hand once you get their credit where it needs to be and their corporate credit where it needs to be. So if you're interested in speaking to Rob and Jenaro, they can be reached at 470-747-7789. You guys, 470-747-7789. And if you, for some reason, you're driving, you weren't able to write that down, you can always reach out to me and I will get you in contact with them as well. But let's jump back into it. Jenaro, what are some of the misconceptions you hear about credit?
Well, I think particularly people don't really understand how is it that people get the access to millions of dollars. And most people think, well, I have to have perfect credit and in order for me to get a bank loan, and it goes that way. It actually works sort of differently. If you look at what's going on in the news right now with our former president in New York, he was the master of creating business entities and creating corporate credit. So he basically had a baby, gave the baby steroids and made it an adult so that it was self-sustaining. He gave the baby steroids. Now the baby is a full-grown adult, and that baby goes and accesses millions of dollars to do whatever that project is, and the baby, the now adult, paid the parent a salary, so to speak. So that salary is totally protected. The adult is responsible for itself. And the state of New York is upset because those numbers were so inflated that they believe that there is somehow a violation there. Now, having said all of that, the biggest misconception is there are two mindsets. Your personal credit, you only want to utilize 25 to 30% of what's available to you. So if you have a $1,000 credit card, you never want to use more than $300. Well, once you get to corporate credit and you have a $1,000 credit card, you want to use all $1,000 of it because that says two different things. On personal credit, it says, hey, this person is being very responsible. They have access to more, but they're not utilizing it. So that means we can trust them with giving them a large amount of credit because they're very responsible. Well, on the flip side, on the corporate and the business credit, it says this person has $1,000 and they're making the payments every month, so that business is
thriving.
So that's a good thing. It's a good thing. So the hardest part is trying to get the person to understand the two different mindsets that you must walk around with. On your personal credit, you don't want to use that. On your business credit, you want to overuse that.
Okay.
That make sense?
It does make sense. And you're right. I've always heard, if your limit is $1,000, you definitely don't want to go over $300. There's just so many nuances to credit. You know what I mean? And I think that's where we get hesitation because we're like, okay, what am I doing right? For instance, when I picked up and moved my family to Austin, Texas, I paid everything off, Jenaro and Rob. I said, oh, this is going to be great. I'm going to pay my car off. I'm going to pay all this off. Do you know when I paid my car off, my credit dropped 100 points?
Yep.
I couldn't believe it.
You know why it makes sense?
Why?
Your utilization change. The algorithm that we use in the credit sphere is designed to see how you manage credit. Okay. We're looking to see how is it that you manage your debt. And if you get rid of your debt, especially all at one time, the assumption is you got some type of a windfall. And that's the only reason why you did it. So you have to understand that your credit score is your reputation. Your credit file is your resume. So think about that for a second. Your score is just what people are saying about you. You got a 700, 800 credit score, you pretty much pay everybody. But if your resume is very thin, that means your resume, if you've only had one job, how much experience do you really have?
Right.
So you can have a high credit score with one credit card that's a $500 credit card that you've only used $10 of. You have a great reputation because you paid. Your utilization is not high, but your resume is horrible because it's not very big. So when you pay everything off, sometimes you're deleting job history. Is that making sense to you?
Yes.
So it says, hey, I'm a 30-year-old adult, but I've only had one job, and that job is only a year old. So your resume doesn't look that good. So the algorithm has to be a delicate balance. One of the things that Rob and I do that is unique to this credit sphere and this whole industry is that we hold your hand from begin all the way through the process. So it's not we fix it, now you're on your own.
Right.
We're going to talk with you monthly. Hey, what are your plans? This is how you get there. That is the wealth management side. That is the whole building generational wealth and knowing how to take your business and make it scalable.
Right.
So we're just that financial piece that says, hey, this is a smart move. This is not a smart move. Hey, interest rates are going to be going down second quarter next year. So let's start getting prepared for that now.
Right. Absolutely.
So the relationships that we have with banks, where banks are now, they solicit us to say, hey, we're looking for clients that are vetted, that are seasoned, that have a good understanding. Because trust me, banks want to give you money.
Right.
That's how they make money.
Right. That's what they're in business to do.
They have to mitigate their risk. So our job is to make sure you're not a risk.
Right.
And to teach you how not to be a high risk for the bank.
And you guys have fostered those relationships between the bank where now they're reaching out for you and your clients to loan the money. Is that right?
Exactly. Banks come to us consistently. They really go to Rob more so than me. I talk too much. So they go to Rob more because he's the brains behind the business side of the corporate funding. I'm a legal junkie, so I love the FCRA and Truth in Lending. But
you're the Monique
really
in the relationship,
and I sort of I do all
the talking.
Rob does a lot of the listening. He knows. But when it comes to setting up your corporation, your holding company,
your LLC,
that's the person you want to talk to. Right. That's the person you want to talk to set it up so that it is bankable in the future.
And so it's done right. And so let's jump to Rob. Rob, we're gonna talk about that, but let me ask you something. What are some common mistakes that businesses make regarding their credit, and how can they avoid those pitfalls?
Okay. One of the most common mistakes is using their home address for the business.
Guilty as charged.
And I mean, we all do it. I've done it myself. I didn't realize how important it was until later on we get the funding and start realizing these creditors, they look at that as being a mom and pop type operation.
Okay.
And they don't want to lend it. And it's all numbers. Nothing personal. It's just numbers say most mom and pop operations tend to go under. So that's what
so it's high risk. High risk.
Exactly. A credit score is just an indicator to the bank. Will we get our money back? Can they afford to pay us back? Whatever we decide to loan them, can we get it back with interest? And the credit score just is an indicator for them to place their bet, so to speak.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's all a risk. Some are just less risky than others.
Well, I like what Jenaro said, that you, Rob, are the man that's going to get my business owners. I have many clients that I've sold homes that own businesses, and they need that guidance. They said, hey, I need somebody to set my LLC up correctly, because even myself, for years, I didn't have it set up correctly, and I just switched over to an S Corp. But people don't understand and know what the difference of an S Corp and a corporation, and you know what I mean? A lot of folks don't understand that. Right. So it's nice to have somebody that you can go to, get everything set up right, because if it's not set up right, your CPA cannot write off those things that you need to write off. You know what I mean? So what all do you do for the businesses when they do contact you? Let me just go ahead and give your number one more time. If you're just tuning in, I am speaking with G6 Services. They are the entire package, you guys. They do business credit, personal credit. Basically, they're going to walk you through, like you said, a whole financial package, wealth management as well. So they don't just get you there, they get you there and keep you there, okay, and help you make the moves that you're trying to make the right way. All right. So if you want to speak with them, their phone number is 470-747-7789. Again, you guys, 470-747-7789. That's G6 Services. You can also Google them and they will come right up as well. Okay, Rob, go ahead and let us know what you do for my business owners.
Okay. Well, I'll start in the beginning. It all started with personal credit, and that's just learning what it was, how to use it. And along that journey, I started to realize that we knew nothing about business credit at all.
Right.
I mean, we know very little about personal credit, but we know even more.
Zero.
Less, I have to say.
Right. And so we shy away from it.
Exactly. So, what I started to understand is that with business credit, it's okay. The personal credit, it's regulated, so it somewhat has the regulations. It's a properly regulated situation, but the business credit is like the wild, wild west.
Oh wow!
It's so much misinformation out there, and so it's kind of hard to grasp it because there's so many moving parts to it. Mm-hmm. Way more than the person. So I give up people shy away from it, but it's something that every entrepreneur should understand and utilize.
Right.
A lot of entrepreneurs I know use their personal savings or personal credit to fund their businesses.
Yes.
Which is, the fastest way to go broke.
Right.
So, what we do is we teach them about OPM, which is other people's money.
I like that.
And that's basically lines of credit, but the goal is to use OPM and leverage that to generate income, mm-hmm. whether that's investing in real estate mm-hmm. or build up your own business to become more profitable. And then use that profit to pay back your OPM, which is a line of credit or credit, mm-hmm. and then whatever the profit is, keep the profit, and then rinse and repeat and do it over again. Yeah. But you should never use your own money. No one uses their own money. Walmart, Apple, Tesla, I don't care who you are. No one uses their own money. They always use OPM, and they leverage that to sell whatever product or service they have. Then they keep with whatever, they pay their debts back, whatever's left over, and then they rinse and repeat. So what we do, we're a full-service operation. So we hold your hand through the entire process from business formation to funding, then all the way to automation and scaling that business.
Right.
Basically, business formation just means making sure everything is properly set up and laying the foundation.
And that's major.
That is the most important part. And that's the part that everyone overlooks is that they think, okay, I got a address, I got an EIN, a check account, and I'm good.
Right.
It's so much more. I mean, as far as just having the proper NIS, CS codes, and
even the address. Look at that! I missed that. I thought I set mine up right, but here I am using my home address, and now that's going to hurt me when I go to get funding, right?
Right. But the answer to your solution is that's the easy fix.
Great. Well, through you it is, Rob.
Yeah, I'm saying, I know it sounds complicated. It's not. I mean, business credit is not complicated. It's just a lot of steps, and we just don't know. We just don't know the information.
We don't know what we don't know.
If we do know, we don't know the application of that information. So it's like having a recipe and knowing what the ingredients are, but then not knowing what to do with it.
Right.
We bake it for 350, blend it, what do we do?
Right.
So it's two parts of it, and our goal is just to teach our family members. I don't even call them clients because our clients are like family. You know what I'm saying? They've been with us some of them been with us at the beginning, 7-8 years later.
I love it.
They're still our clients. So, because it's a ongoing process. It never stops.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's what I love about you guys, because that's my biggest fear. And I think a lot of our biggest fear is that we'll get out there in those waters of business finance, and then we won't know how to swim back to shore. But you guys say, hey, we'll hold your hand. Even if it's up to 2 years, we're still able to reach back out to you. And you guys are reaching in to check in with us every month or so, or however often we need. Is that right?
We're family. I'm going to say this again to you.
Okay.
We are family.
I love that.
This is a lifelong. once we're in, it's in. I mean, like I said, because it never stops.
That's good.
So it's always something new. And the business changes. It changes. You know what I'm saying? What was good 4 years ago, it might not necessarily be the same today.
Right.
So it's a constant, evolving thing. So, like I said, we're in it for the long term. And once we become our client, we're family.
I love that. Jenaro, you have any input on that? I know you dropped some great nuggets today with one of my clients. We connected today on the phone, and I like what you were telling him. My client is an artist, and he has shows that he puts on. And you said, how much more grander would your show be? Because at this point, he had been funding all these shows himself. And you said, listen, you might look at the menu and say, well, we don't need caviar because it's coming out of your own pocket. But when you're funding it through your business line of credit or, you might go ahead and throw the caviar on there. Isn't that what you said, Jenaro?
Exactly. If you understand anything, we don't have an iPhone or Apple if Steve Jobs was funding it out of Steve Jobs' pocket.
Right.
You're much more conservative when the money that you have in the bank has to cover your mortgage,
right.
your car note, your meal that day.
Right.
You're a lot more conservative. But when you have access to a lot more money, you're allowed to be more creative. You're allowed to see your vision come to fruition.
Right.
More times than not, what I see is that we have small businesses that really think small. And we had a client that said, hey, I only need $30,000. We looked at it and said, no, you need about $200,000. He couldn't believe it. That was 8 months ago. He's now $750,000. He's established himself. He has storefronts. He is thriving.
Wow.
But he learned to think bigger because he wasn't worried about, he was allowed to focus on his craft because his day-to-day living wasn't being affected.
Yes, and how much more creative could you be? Yeah.
Right. You can, if you're a creative person or if you're a baker or even a barber, if you're a barber and you have one shop with 4 chairs and you think if I could just get enough money to open up a second shop, I would say, no, open up 10 shops.
Right.
Open up 10 shops. Address them correctly. Whatever business that you're in, from tech to bakeries, whatever it is you're into, think big because the money is in being big because that's what the banks want. The banks don't want to invest in a mom and pop because they tend to make emotional decisions versus business decisions. And an emotional decision is a decision that says, hey, as your friend, I want to do this art show and I want to do it really grand, but my personal budget says get some Subway sandwiches. But if I had the wherewithal,
right,
I would have a chef, I'd have a carving station, I would invite a lot more people, I'd have it at a grander place.
Yes.
This means that by having that money, he's going to make more money. He's going to attract more people, different level of clientele.
Right.
Everything is elevated, but oftentimes we do not because we think very small and we're afraid to jump out there. So our job is to say, hey, we're going to hold your hand, think big, let's get the money for you so that you don't have to worry about your day-to-day living expenses. You can go ahead and focus on making this great. One of the reasons why in the music industry, they give artists the money up front. They give artists these bonuses up front. It's designed to stop them from working and worrying about their day-to-day existence so they can focus on their craft. That's the reason why they give them this advance. So if you think along those lines, what if I had access to $500,000 to do my plan and I didn't have to worry about, oh my God, that's my light bill money, that's my rent money, that's my child's tuition money.
Right.
What if I had that? And so if we could give you that money, you can be so much more creative. And that's what banks understand. This person is going to be successful because they have enough cash to do what they need to do, and they can create the cash flow behind that. And that's what we specialize in doing, is creating that world for you and then holding your hand as you navigate through how to make that scalable.
Absolutely. You guys, I just want to say thank you so much for coming on. And if you guys haven't figured it out now, these are my go-tos when it comes to credit. for personal and business. And in my line of work, helping you, my listeners, get to that score that you need so that I can sell you a home. These folks don't string you along. They get the results and they get them fast because they understand that every day we wait could cost you thousands. So thank you so much, Rob. Thank you, Jenaro. We appreciate you. We'll definitely have you on again. And until next time we hear from you guys, thank you.
Thank you.
You guys, if you want to reach out to them, you can reach them at, I always want to say 702, 470-747-7789. Again, their number at G6 Services is 470-747-7789. Okay. Now, let's pivot real quick to real estate. I am your local realtor here in Las Vegas Valley. And I just want to give a shout out to a couple of our KUMV listeners. Okay. We've got a new listing over there at 6644 Lavender Lily, 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 1-car garage, and it's going to be sold for under $300,000 in the Aliante area. That will go live within the next few days. By this weekend, you can jump out there and see it, I'm sure. Okay, so there's that. And then I want to give a big shout out to our KUMV listener, Grant. Congratulations. He just closed on his house yesterday. We were happy to give him keys. And, he's such a sweet man. He says, listen, I've been listening to you, and you just inspired me to go ahead and do it. And I didn't think it could really be done, but here I am getting keys. So congratulations to him and his lovely wife. Congratulations, you guys, on your new home. Just yesterday they closed, all right? By the way, guys, listings. I'm not bragging. I'm going to humbly say, because it's not me. I give honor to God. He put me in this position and I'm thankful for it. And even in this market, the Lord has allowed me to bless my sellers by going above and beyond the neighborhood averages. We have sold above and beyond the neighborhood averages. Just happened again with another set of my sellers. Okay, we sold that house for above and beyond neighborhood averages. In other words, we broke the records. And I really attribute a lot of that to this radio show, to you guys listening. There's, the best way to get your home sold right now, obviously you need to have as much marketing as you can because there's not a whole lot of buyers out there. And I really am thankful for this platform because it does allow me to get these listings a lot of traction, right? 100,000 listeners per week. They hear it. Hey, I heard Monique, my radio station realtor, talk about a property that was in your budget. They're telling their friends or family. And that's driving looks to your property. So if you're thinking about listing your property, my number is 702-984-3700, 702-984-3700. And I'd love to assist you guys. Okay, so thank you for tuning into the Welcome Home with Monique show again today. May God bless your homes, your dreams, and your journey in real estate. Stay blessed, stay informed, and keep the faith alive. God bless y'all.